You ever notice how the first thing people do in the morning is check their phone? Not good morning to their spouse, not a stretch, not a glass of water, straight to the feed and notifications. See, you've been trained like a dog to a bell to check in with your God. And I don't mean the God in the sky, I mean the God in your pocket, the algorithm. Now, here's the thing most people don't realize: you don't have to be a content creator to be worshiping it. Everybody already does. Every scroll, every like, every second you linger on a video, it's all an offering. And in return, the algorithm decides how your day feels, what you think about, what you believe. That's not an exaggeration. If you've ever woken up in a good mood, then saw something online that ruined your whole morning, that's the algorithm dictating your state. If you've ever meant to just check Instagram for a minute and ended up losing an hour, that's the algorithm pulling your strings. It's objective. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't love you. It doesn't hate you. It just reflects back what humanity clicks on the most. Dumb, shallow content floats to the top because people click dumb, shallow content. Outrage goes viral because people feed on outrage. You might think you're choosing what you watch, but the algorithm knows what you'll click before you do. That's why politics feels so divided. That's why fake news spreads faster than real news. That's why your mom is radicalized on Facebook and your little cousin talks like TikTok. So even if you don't create content, even if you never post a single thing, you're still under the algorithm's spell. You're consuming, obeying, and worshiping. And this is why you should keep watching. Because this video isn't just about exposing the problem, it's about showing you the bigger picture almost nobody sees. I'm going to show you how the algorithm became your new religion without you ever noticing. I'm going to show you why the richest people on earth, billionaires who own these platforms, are essentially your priests. And most importantly, I'm going to show you the one thing the algorithm doesn't want you to figure out: that there's another algorithm running beneath all of this, one that's not man-made, not manipulated, and one that you're actually a part of. And once you see it, you'll never look at your phone or reality the same way again. Most people don't realize that scrolling is basically the same thing as prayer. Every tap, every pause, every second your eyes stay locked on a video, it's worship. You're feeding the machine, shaping it, and letting it shape you back. It doesn't matter if you never post a thing. Just consuming is enough to keep the God alive. That's why trends spread like wildfire. Teenagers talk in TikTok slang before the dictionary even knows what it means. Rabbit holes pull people into ideas they never searched for. Entire elections swing because a few million people were nudged in the right direction at the right time. The algorithm doesn't hate you, but it definitely doesn't love you either. It's not biased in some personal way. It's mathematical. It reflects humanity back to itself. If people feed on junk food floats to the top. If people want outrage, outrage gets the spotlight. If people want stupid, stupid goes viral. That's why it feels so familiar, because this isn't new. We've been here before. For thousands of years, religion ran the same play. The masses weren't given truth. They were given what they consumed most easily: certainty, simplicity, belonging, no thinking required, just faith. Knowledge was off limits, and curiosity was a sin. Religion was the prototype, a primitive content filter. Priests decided what ideas you were allowed to eat, what questions you could ask, which behaviors would get you punished or blessed. It wasn't mathematical, but it was the same formula: control through what you're allowed to consume. And now the system has been upgraded. The priests wear hoodies instead of robes. The sermons come through feeds instead of pulpits. The algorithm looks objective because it runs on math, but don't confuse that with truth. The math is just the delivery system. Behind it are the same kind of men, adjusting the knobs, fine-tuning the levers, keeping billions of people hooked. That's why this God is stronger than any religion in history. Religion demanded you show up once or twice a week. The algorithm follows you home, sits in your pocket, vibrates in your hand. The ritual is constant. The devotion is unconscious. And the prayers don't look like folded hands anymore. They look like refreshing your feed, hoping for likes, checking for comments, letting your mood rise and fall based on the tiny dopamine blessings and curses it delivers. You know that little rush you feel when a notification pops up? That's the modern God heard me. And just like the old gods, this one demands sacrifice. Not lambs or goats or your own son this time, but your attention, your focus, your time. Hours carved off your life and laid on the altar of infinite scroll. The part nobody wants to admit is how much it shapes them. Nobody binge watches rage videos and walks away neutral. Nobody fills their head with shallow junk and suddenly craves wisdom. Entertainment isn't harmless. What you consume is who you become. That's the power of this God. It doesn't just shape your Sunday, it shapes your entire existence. And guess what? The algorithm is your God, but the priests are billionaires. They own the platforms, they tweak the math, they profit from your devotion. Every second you give, every ounce of attention makes them richer while you get emptier. This is why the parallel with religion cuts so deep. Both were man-made filters designed to control the many for the benefit of the few. Religion dangled heaven and threatened hell. The algorithm dangles likes and threatens invisibility. Same structure, same control, just a new format. But beneath them both, beneath the religious filters, beneath the social media feeds, there's the real thing, the actual algorithm, the one they've been imitating all along, the one they can't own, can't tweak, can't manipulate. Mathematics, the true code of reality, eternal, objective, unowned. That's the difference. Religion and social media demand blind devotion. The real algorithm doesn't demand, it includes you. You're not just a data point inside it, you're a participant, a node in the equation. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. So when people laugh it off, come on, it's just entertainment, it's just scrolling. Nah, it's deeper, it's older, it's the same old story of humanity worshiping false gods, just wearing a new mask. And in a second, you're going to see why this new mask, the algorithm in your pocket, isn't even original. It's just a counterfeit shadow of the deeper algorithm running reality itself. Here's the thing about counterfeits. They only work if you don't know the real thing exists. That's why the algorithm feels so powerful. It has the same structure as a god, invisible, omnipresent, always watching, always rewarding and punishing. It's a perfect imitation, but it's still an imitation, because beneath all the human-made filters, whether it's religion telling you what to believe or social media deciding what to show you, there's the actual algorithm. The code reality itself runs on. That is ontological mathematics. And I don't mean the dead math you hated in school. I'm not talking about worksheets or formulas you memorized to pass a test. I mean math as the living structure of existence, the operating system underneath everything. Think about it. Equations aren't invented, they're discovered. The Pythagorean theorem wasn't dreamed up like a fairy tale, it was uncovered. It was always true, waiting to be recognized. That's what makes math different from every man-made god, every man-made algorithm. It doesn't depend on belief, it doesn't need interpretation, it's not owned by anyone. Religion lives and dies by what people believe. Social media lives and dies by what people click. Mathematics isn't a dead code that lives or dies. It's the living, thinking structure of reality itself, always here, always evolving, and you're not outside of that algorithm. You're not watching it from a distance. You're inside it. You're a node in the network. Every thought you think, every choice you make is part of the calculation. You're not just reacting to the code, you're part of the code. That's the difference. The algorithm in your pocket reduces you to a metric. Views, likes, seconds of watch time. It narrows you down to data that can be sold. The real algorithm doesn't reduce you, it expands you. It gives you the possibility of becoming more than you are, because you're built into its logic. When you live for the counterfeit, you stay small. You scroll, you consume, You obey. Your moods are dictated by a feed. Your beliefs are secondhand. Your reality is filtered through a machine that's not working for you. It's working for its owners. When you align with the real algorithm, the whole game changes. You stop chasing meaning outside yourself because you realize you're already generating it. You don't need the feed to tell you who you are. You don't need priests, pundits, or platforms to interpret reality for you. The code is inside you. This is why people feel so empty today. It's not just distraction, it's spiritual malnutrition. They're worshiping a knockoff. They're plugging their soul into a system designed to extract, not expand. That's why depression, anxiety, and anger feel endless, because the counterfeit thrives on them. Outrage spreads, fear sells, emptiness keeps you coming back for more. It's the same trick religion pulled for centuries, just digitized. Promise people blessings, keep them dependent, and remind them they're nothing without the system. But the real algorithm doesn't run on fear or faith. It runs on logic, on structure, on patterns that can't be gamed or bought or corrupted. 2 plus 2 equals 4 whether you believe it or not. Waveforms, frequencies, numbers. This is the language of existence. And when you start tuning into that, instead of the counterfeit, you feel it. Reality stops looking random. You stop feeling like a pawn in someone else's game. You realize the game itself is mathematical, and you've been a player all along. That's the secret. That's the piece they don't want you to see. Because once you realize there's a real algorithm, the counterfeit loses its hold. Why would you keep worshiping the knockoff when you've seen the source code? That's the shift, from consumer to participant, from pawn to node, from being defined by someone else's feed to defining yourself within the structure of reality itself. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's why I say the algorithm on your phone isn't original. It's just a cheap shadow of the real one, a trap built on top of truth, an imitation God keeping people distracted from the authentic. And now that you've seen the counterfeit for what it is, it's time to see the real thing. Because the question isn't whether an algorithm is running your life, it already is. The question is whether you're trapped in the fake one or awake inside the true one. So here we are. On one side, the counterfeit, religion as the prototype, social media as the upgrade, both man-made, both designed to keep you obedient, both owned by those who profit from your devotion. On the other side, the real thing, mathematics, the eternal algorithm. The code reality runs on whether you see it or not, whether you believe it or not. The counterfeit reduces you, the real expands you, and that's the choice laid bare. The counterfeit is about extraction. Every second you scroll, every prayer you whisper, every ounce of your faith or your focus, it's taken from you and turned into power for someone else. The priest gets stronger, the platform gets richer, the owner gains control. You get nothing but a hit of dopamine and the hollow promise of more if you just keep coming back. The real algorithm is the opposite. It doesn't need to own you. It doesn't need to drain you. It doesn't even need you to believe in it. It's already there, already running, already including you in its structure. And the more you align with it, the more you expand, the more capable you become, the more awake you feel. This is why people feel so powerless today. It's not random. It's not just the times we live in. It's because they've given their devotion to counterfeits. They're pouring their energy into systems designed to keep them small. Really think about it for a second. Hours sacrificed to the scroll, years sacrificed to dogmas that never deliver, lifetimes spent kneeling before false gods, never realizing there was a real one underneath the whole time. The counterfeit always demands you stay asleep. Blind faith, blind scrolling, blind obedience. Because the moment you wake up, the moment you see the trick, it loses its hold. The real algorithm doesn't fear you waking up. It wants you to, because the more aware you become, the more it can express itself through you. The sharper your mind, the clearer your thoughts, the stronger your signal, the more the system evolves. That's the difference. One system thrives on your ignorance. The other thrives on your awakening. And look, you're not going to escape the social algorithm completely. Nobody does. The point isn't to throw your phone into a river. The point is to see the counterfeit for what it is, to stop worshiping it, to stop letting it define you. Because once you make that shift, the game changes. You stop living by numbers on a screen. You stop chasing likes. Stop hinging your mood on notifications. Stop letting a feed dictate your reality. You stop being a pawn. And instead, you start living by numbers that are real, patterns that are eternal, frequencies that were here before any priest, before any platform, before any counterfeit God ever existed. You wake up to the fact that you're already inside the real algorithm, that you always have been, that every thought, every choice, every spark of creativity is part of something eternal, objective, unowned. And once you know that, the counterfeits don't stand a chance, because no man-made system, no religion, no feed, no false god can compete with the truth. That's the bottom line. You don't get to choose whether an algorithm shapes your life. It already does. You only get to choose which one. The counterfeit that keeps you small, or the real algorithm that shows you you're infinite. One steals your time, the other reveals your potential. One traps you in endless repetition, the other evolves you towards something greater. Most people will never see the difference. They'll die scrolling, die kneeling, die believing in gods that never cared for them. But you've seen behind the mask now. You know there's something deeper. You know there's a code that's real. That's the truth. That's the choice. And that's the end of the illusion. The algorithm you worship is the algorithm you become.